How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Aaron Ryan back at you once again. Alright, so I've played a lot of really hard games in my life, and today I want to come on and do a video and talk to you about what games I've found the hardest I've ever played. Let's get to it. Okay guys, so I'm going to do these games in alphabetical order. So at the very start, starting us off right now, this one is Batman Return of the Joker. Now first things first, guys, as you can see here, this game is brutal hard. Batman Return of the Joker for the NES, and I only played it for the first time a couple of weeks ago on my gaming page, Aaron Ryan Gaming, on Facebook and Twitch, and every stage was painful to get through. You're getting hit left, right and center. You know, the game is absolutely impossible, I found. Like, the only way I can complete this game was through save states. I could not get through this game without save states. Can you imagine going back to the day when this game was officially released, like for the first time, and we had no such thing as save states? We had to just get through the game as normal, and if we did die, we're back to the very start of the game again. Can you imagine the painful of that? You know what I mean? So yeah, look, I was going through the list of games that I have, and I thought to myself, look, what game will I play today on the channel? Hey, look, this is a Batman game, Return of the Joker. I never played it before. It looks okay, it looks fine. To me, at first glance, it did look easy. Why was I wrong? I was miles wrong. So yeah, there was a lot of raging, there was a lot of ranting, there was a lot of moaning and groaning throughout my playthrough on my gaming page, and let me tell you, it was a whole nightmare to get through. Even everyone in the chat was like, oh my god, this game is absolutely brutal. And I was saying to myself, okay, why did I pick this? You know, why did I pick this game? Why? Even everyone in the chat was saying to me, this is actually the hardest Batman game ever made. And I was like, really? I think you're right there, yeah. So after like a couple of like painful efforts to get through the game, I eventually got through it, and I was like, thank God that's over. I'm never playing that game again, I said. Like, I grew up playing Batman Returns, Batman Forever for the Super Nintendo. Now, they were not too bad. No, Batman Forever, yeah, okay, stage 1 is fine, stage 2 is okay, but the second you enter into the circus stage in Batman Forever, that's as furthest I could ever get in that game, and that was it. But then I touched Batman Return of the Joker, and I was like, oh, this is a whole different chapter altogether. This is completely difficulty out of nowhere. So yeah, Batman Return of the Joker, screw that game. I don't know about you, did you find this game really, really hard yourself? Did you find it impossible to play? Could you actually get through this game without save states? Or let me know in the comments below, guys. Let me know. Alright guys, next up on the list, it is of course Dragon's Lair for the NES. Straight away, OMG, OMG, OMG. This game is absolutely crazy hard. The controls, man, the controls in this game is so slow, and the enemies takes absolutely ages to kill in this thing. And the jumping, you gotta be so precise on the jumping as well, because one little mistake and that's it, boom, you're gone. But look here, look at the way it takes ages just for this first little thing to get through the bridge here, to get into the castle and stuff like that. It just takes forever. And this game, I actually played this a couple of times when I was a kid, and I could never get far, just no matter what I do. Like, I kept saying to myself, this game is just too hard. Why do I keep coming back to this game? You know, some part in my brain is keep telling me, you know what, go back to the game, maybe try it again, you might get through it and stuff. But after every attempt, I could never get far in this. Some people there will tell me that this is the hardest game on the NES, but in my view, I think the hardest game on the NES is coming up very, very shortly, and you probably know exactly what game I'm talking about. But Dragon's Lair though, like, I've seen people that can say, I've heard people actually say that they can actually beat this without any deaths, and I'm like, how? You know, how can you do this without any deaths? This is crazy. I did practice this a couple of times, and, you know, I keep dying at the same spots as well. I can get through level 1 and all that, no problem, but as I get further into this game, the harder it just gets. Like, the controls is so hard. The controls kind of seem a bit delayed for me. I don't know why, but it's probably just these kind of old games back then. Like, did you ever get a feeling where you play a game back then, it feels nice and comfortable, but when you play it like some odd 30 years later, it's like, how come this game doesn't feel the same way as it used to do, you know? Dragon's Lair is, yeah, it is hell. It is complete hell. And if you want to break your controller, you want to smash up your TV, go right ahead and play this, because I swear this game will make you even speak a language you thought you'd never ever speak again, and this game will just bring out the more rage in you. So Dragon's Lair NES, it is crazy hard. I don't think I'll ever stream this game on my gaming channel because, you know, I as I said, like, I can't see myself getting any far in this thing, and you know, I don't like streaming games that are extremely hard where you're just continuously dying over and over again, you know. And I know some viewers do actually in fact enjoy some rage and now and then, you know, but me, I think I will do more than rage if I was to stream this game. Someone must have been in a very foul mood when they made this, I think, you know. Someone must have been really peed off and say, hey, let's just make make a game crazy hard to kind of make everybody miserable. Yeah, Dragon's Lair. NES. Okay guys, this game don't need any introduction whatsoever. You know the drill, you know the way the game works, you know insanely hard how this game is as well. Ghosts and Goblins for the NES, enough said. This game is brutal. I know I've said brutal before, but probably multiply brutal by 1,000,000 right here. This game is probably, yeah, as known as the hardest game on the NES right now. If you thought Dragon's Lair was hard, you thought Batman Return of the Joker was hard, this thing is on another level. This thing is absolutely insane. You know, now, I never owned this back in the day. I grew up with the other version, the safe version, the nicer version, called Ghouls and Ghosts on the Sega Mega Drive, or if you're over in the States, it's the Sega Genesis. But I grew up with Ghouls and Ghosts with my brother, and I found Ghouls and Ghosts to be more forgiving, even though like it's a sequel. But I found it more forgiving. It's a lot less stress to play compared to this thing. This thing, it took me a long time to even just beat the first stage. Now, I did try it as a kid. I never owned the game, but I did try this as a kid. And I could never even get past the first stage. That just says enough about the game, doesn't it? Like, the jumping in Ghosts and Goblins, especially jumping from one headstone to another, you know, one little mistake, you're gone. And what's even worse about this thing is, as hard as the game is, you have to beat the game twice, like Ghouls and Ghosts. But Ghouls and Ghosts is, as I said, a lot more forgiving than this thing. I know you have to beat Ghouls and Ghosts twice as well, because you got to go back and get the power to get into the room with Loki, kill Loki, and the game is done. But with this thing, you know, it's an effort to even get up to the last stage. You'd be lucky even if you get through the first stage, for example. But yeah, if you do want a safer introduction to this this series of games, I would recommend play Ghouls and Ghosts first. Get to know Ghouls and Ghosts first. Then you can try Ghosts and Goblins, you know. But if you're going to start the Ghosts and Goblins, you're going to probably going to say to yourself, no way, that game is too hard. I'm not even going to try the sequel, you know. But Ghouls and Ghosts is a lot more forgiving. It is hard, don't get me wrong. But there is a couple of elements in Ghosts and Goblins where you just want to grab the controller and just smash it 1,000,000,000 times off the wall there, you know. And Ghosts and Ghosts, you'd be like, okay, yeah, it's not too bad. It's hard, it's difficult, but it's rewarding, because like you can say, right, this game to you it might feel hard, but when you beat Ghosts and Ghosts, you will beat Ghosts and Ghosts first before you beat Ghosts and Goblins. But if you are trying to play Ghosts and Goblins, maybe try the arcade version first as well. I find the arcade version of Ghosts and Goblins actually a little more easier compared to the NES in regards to controls anyway. But anyway, Ghosts and Goblins, forget about it. I'm not playing that again for another while. Alright, so guys, next up on the list here is Out of This World, Another World for the Sega Mega Drive / Sega Genesis. This game is very weird. I have to say, this is probably the most weirdest game I've ever seen in terms of graphics and stuff, but this is hard as well, you know, especially this first scene. This first scene in the game is the only part I can actually complete. I cannot get through the second and third, fourth and whichever. This is the only thing I can do. But as you can see, like, you start off by swimming up the way. You have to go all the way to the right. You're going to see this kind of weird creature thing. He's going to chase you and everything like that. And you know, the game is slow, the game is laggy, the frame rate is very bad. I find you have to kick these little thingy things on the ground and stuff. But yeah, I got this sometime, I think it was 95, I think, for the Sega Mega Drive, and I was like, what's this, you know? Like, can you imagine, like, I think it was my sister that got me this game, I think, and I was like, what, 8, 7, I think, 7, yeah. Like, what was an adult thinking of getting this game for a child, you know? Like, how can a child get out of this game? Like, I've seen a lot of adults on streaming platforms struggling with this game, and you think that this game is made, like, for, I don't know, youngsters? Like, not children, but like teenagers, you know? Like, how can you beat this? I don't know about you guys, like, have you ever played this before? I don't think this is that much popular over in America. I think it was called Another World. No, I think it was Out of This World over in America, but I think it was called Another World here over in Europe. It's similar to the way we have Star Fox over in America, but we had Star Wing over here, even though it's the same game, just a different title. But this game is just, it's not good, you know. Like, I suppose maybe for the time, I was like, wow, look at these graphics. Like, it's funny we look at games like that now. We can say, like, back, say about 95, 95, 96 or something like that. Well, especially 96. We saw Super Mario 64 and we were like, holy yeah, like this looks amazing. This actually looks amazing, like Mario in 3D and everything like that. And we were like, look at these graphics. These graphics are amazing. You know, these graphics look cool. Now, this might have looked HD to us back in the day. And now we're like, this did not age well, you know. But yeah, out of this world, another world, this is brutal hard. If you want to play a really, really hard game, a really stressful game that will really test your patience, fire this up, player. Moving right along, guys, next up is Rambo 3 for the arcade. First time ever playing this game was just a couple of weeks ago. As I've mentioned before, I'm involved in a thing online called the Retro Gaming League, and it is a league where more than 20 pages will get involved and play a game each and every week. My first time playing this was actually in the league. This actually appeared in season 6 of the league this season, so it's all arcade games this season, and well and truly this game actually arrived, and I've never played it before. And what I can say, like, the game starts off okay. This is kind of like, you know, it's a basic little shooter game. It's grand. It's not too bad until you get up to, I think it's scene 5. And scene 5, that is where I think more or less everybody in the league this season got stuck on, because there were just way too many enemies in that scene to fight on your own. But overall, like, the game is not that bad. It does start off nice and friendly for you, but it just gets crazy difficult at that last stage. That last stage on its own is just too much. And, you know, you think scene 1, scene 2, scene 3 and stuff, scene 4 is not bad. Okay, this game is more or less beatable. But it's like the game give you a big punch in the face the second you get to that last level. That's it. Like, the game offers 2-player, maybe the game might be easier on 2-player mode, because obviously you and a friend can actually get down more enemies rather than being on your own, you know. But as you can see on the screen here, look at this scene right here now. This scene is absolutely bonkers. You have grenades thrown at you, you have all these tanks shooting at you, you have all these helicopters shooting at you all at once, you have all the soldiers shooting at you, and you're there, you're trying to get your health there up there so you can get up to that final boss and beat him. And if you don't have enough health and you die, well, the game will send you back to the very start. What it'll do is it'll send you back just to the start of that scene again, but you lose all of your weapons, all the power-ups that you have gathered in, you know, as you get up to that area. You lose them all, so you're actually down to a very, very crappy gun. But yeah, the Rambo 3 would be up there as one of the hardest games I've ever played as well, because of scene 5. That last scene, that last area is absolutely impossible for me anyway. I've never beaten it, and I don't think I'll ever will beat it without save states. So save states saves lives, guys. You know, when you're playing a brutal hard game like this, you have to do save states. They're there to use save states. The button to use a save state is there to use it. But if you're in a league like I am in, we had to abide by the rules where we had to just do it as normal, and yeah, I did not get far. I did get the win that week. I'm very lucky I got the win that week. I did make it up to that scene. I got a pretty high score, which is cool. I believe it was all about a high score that week. But yeah, this game is crazy hard. If you've never played it before, you want a hard game again, be my guest, play Rambo 3 for the arcade. You will be absolutely shocked when you reach that last stage. Anyway, guys, next up in line, following another arcade game as well, we have R-Type for arcade as well. This is crazy. I don't even have words to describe this. Just one word: horrible. Crap. Okay, this game is absolutely brutal. It's crazy. We played this in the Retro Gaming League as well, and we were supposed to actually beat this game first, and then move on to Bubble Bobble. And unfortunately, no one beat this game that week. Nobody. And which was a shocking shame, because everyone was looking forward to Bubble Bobble. Who loves Bubble Bobble? Everyone does, don't they? And we had to get through this game first in order to play Bubble Bobble, and unfortunately just no one did. And this game is just brutal. It is like everything and anything is shooting at you at once. And lo and behold, if you do lose all your shields and everything like that, your little, what is that thing called? I can throw it up the way and you can go behind you and stuff like that. But if you lose that as well, you're kind of like, you're screwed. If you lose your power-ups, all your good weapons and stuff, you're screwed as well. Because you do need a lot of them things in order to defeat some bosses, you know. This game drove me ballistic. I literally raged so much in my practice streams where I had to kind of make the decision to not practice on stream anymore because I was losing viewers, because a game like this was just making me lose viewers, and I just don't want a game like that to damage my gaming page. Simple as. So I said, hey, I'm not going to practice this on stream anymore. This is going to be behind closed doors. No one is going to see practice of this until the official run day, and this game is just crazy hard. Like, I thought, okay, there was a game I grew up playing called Arrow Flash for the Sega Mega Drive, Sega Genesis, and it looks similar. Like, I've never played this before. I played Super R-Type on the Super Nintendo. I played Galaga. I played a lot of them kind of shooty games, and they were not that bad. But this thing, I thought, hey, it looks like Arrow Flash. It plays a bit similar to it, but I didn't realize it's like, to me, it was like a Kaizo version of Arrow Flash. You know, think like a Kaizo Mario where it's super hard. When you're so used to like Super Mario World, Super Mario 3, they're grand. Until you find some crazy Mario ROM hack that is absolutely insane. Well, this is like a very, very hard version of Arrow Flash for me, and Gradius is another one. I think Gradius 3, that's kind of up there as another hard one, but not as hard as this. I think Gradius 3 is not too bad to play. It's manageable, you know, you can get through it. But this thing, I said after the official run that I'm never going to play this game ever again, you know, and I don't think this will be on my gaming page for a long time unless it appears in a future season. R-Type for the arcade, guys. This is absolutely crazy. The stages just get worse as it goes along, and it will drive you insane. Yeah, R-Type, forget it. So guys, do you remember when I told you about that Ghouls 'n Ghosts is a nicer and more forgiving version than Ghosts 'n Goblins? Well, the next game is Super Ghouls 'n Ghosts for the Super Nintendo, and let me tell you, it's like the dudes, the guys, the people that made Ghosts 'n Goblins and made Ghouls 'n Ghosts is like, you know, I heard Aaron over in some part of the world there, and he's turned around and he's saying that Ghouls 'n Ghosts is easier. Well, I think they kind of they heard me, and they actually made Ghouls 'n Ghosts impossible. This is Super Ghouls 'n Ghosts. This is actually getting Ghosts 'n Goblins and spawn out a very evil twin. A very evil version of Ghouls 'n Ghosts. It's a totally different game. It's in the title as Ghouls 'n Ghosts, just with a super on top of it. But I think the super means for just another term for their way of saying impossible. But yeah, I can get through level 1, no problem. Again, it's another issue where stage 2, 3 and them, I just can't do them. Stage 1, I can get through stage 1, that's it. But this game is brutal. It's absolutely insane. Ghouls 'n Ghosts allowed you to fire up the way and shoot down the way. This thing, they took it out. You cannot shoot up the way, you cannot shoot down the way anymore. You can only do a double jump. So that for me alone right there makes this game insanely hard for me. Because I'm so used to like shooting up the way, shooting down the way and everything like that, and this game took it out of me. The bosses are so different, the stage design is so different as well. The whole thing is actually nothing like the Sega Mega Drive or the Sega Genesis Ghouls 'n Ghosts that we all know and love back in the 90s. Well, I love, but I don't know about you if you do like Ghouls 'n Ghosts as well. It's a guilty pleasure. But yeah, this is nothing like it. This is completely nothing like Ghouls 'n Ghosts, but this was on the Super Nintendo, and I thought for the Super Nintendo version of, like, you know, the Ghouls 'n Ghosts, Ghosts 'n Goblins kind of thing, it does look absolutely fantastic, don't it? It does, like, the controls are a bit different, especially with that double jump thing, but, you know, it does play a bit different, but it is absolutely, I think this is actually probably harder than Ghosts 'n Goblins in some shape or form. The stage 1 boss is not too bad, just kind of spam, that's the word I was looking for, spam, hit him all the time there, duck back and keep spamming him all the time and you'll get through him. But when you get into like stage 2, stage 3 and so on, you're going to find the game is going to hate you and hate you even more, because the game don't want you to complete it. The game wants you to rage and rage and rage and rage. So yeah, I didn't get far in this. I don't intend to kind of sitting down trying to learn this thing, because I won't have a computer left if I do. And yeah, there you go. Super Ghouls 'n Ghosts, folks, for the Super Nintendo. It is insane. It's hard, brutal. Every word you can think of, slot in there, you know. I wouldn't say it's a bad game. It's not a bad game. It's just a very challenging game to play. You know, I was very young when I played Ghouls and Ghosts. I will admit that, very young. And I was absolutely rubbish at it the very first time I played it. But the thing that stuck out with me, I played Ghouls and Ghosts like every weekend. I used to like stay at my brother's apartment flat back in like 96, and that was the game we just played all the time. And it just kind of glued to me. Like, I knew the ins and outs of the game as I grew older and stuff. But this thing, I said, not a hope I might playing this thing. This is too hard. I just can't do this now. But Super Ghouls and Ghosts, folks, for the Super Nintendo. It is brutal, brutal, brutal. Alright, so guys, next on the menu is Super Mario Bros. 2, The Lost Levels. This is the real Mario 2, by the way. Super Mario Bros. 2, The Lost Levels. Here we go. This thing is Mario, but with like evil wrote all over it. There's a lot of troll moments in this thing. It starts off fine, you know, World 1 is not too bad, but once you get into like the several next castles, like Castle 4-4, I think Castle 6-4 as well is another troll thing where you gotta just pick the right kind of pattern to go, you know, because if you get the pattern wrong, you know, it just the level just loops. So you have to go in the right pattern in order to proceed further into the level. But this thing, oh my. Now, I never owned this version, like the NES look to it, like, do you know, just like these pixelated version. I've owned the one on the Super Mario All-Stars cartridge, The Lost Levels it was called, and I believe that version in particular will actually bring you to World 9, and you thought like, oh wow, I actually beat it, wow, I cannot believe I actually beat it, 8-4, it's done. Then the game is going to be like, hang on a minute, it's not over yet. We're into 9-1, you know, the game just keeps going, and you get to 9-4, you're into A1, I believe A1, A2, A3, A4, B1, B2, B3, B4, C1, C2, and so forth, all the way to D4, I think. D4, I think, is the last level in the whole thing. It's the game is never ending. But yeah, I actually wish I actually had this version back in the day. This is on the Famicom, and I wish I had this version, you know, but this version actually... I streamed this version a couple of times. I did have to use save states, unfortunately, to get through this thing, you know, in one piece, because I can't imagine trying to play this without save states, because, you know, I won't last long, and I'll rage again, and I'll rage again, and I'll just rage again, and shit at the game, call the game every name under the sun, and everything like that. But I tell you one thing, right? If you actually do beat this game, you will feel so good in yourself, you know. Like, say, if you beat this without save states, you're going to say, wow, I think I am the best Mario game player of all time. Because, like, this game is actually known as the hardest Mario game of all time. Hence why it was only released in Japan. See, over here in Europe and America, we got a game that's more or less like I like to call a Doki Doki Panic ROM hack. Because it's basically Doki Doki Panic, just with Mario sprites in it, you know. It's the same thing as Doki Doki Panic, and it just has Mario look to it. It's not a real Mario game if you think about it. I don't know, would you consider Mario 2 USA a real Mario game? To me, this is the real Mario 2, but apparently Nintendo said it was too hard. It was absolutely too hard to release to the world, you know, because the very first thing you see in World 1, Level 1, is going to be a poisonous mushroom, and... Nintendo thought, look, by putting a poisonous mushroom in the first level and you die straight away, that's it, the game is too hard. So they kind of just kept this in Japan only, and we later got it, I think it was 1993, Super Mario All-Stars. That came bundled with a couple of Super Nintendos over here in Europe. I'm not sure if it got bundled over in America, but we got it over here with Super Mario All-Stars packed with the Super Nintendo. Some regions got, I think it was Street Fighter 2. Other regions got Super Mario World, I think, later on. And then there was Star Wing as well, which is known as Star Fox. But this game is evil with a capital E. And yeah, at least the Super Mario All-Stars version, if you do make it up to like 6-4, you die, you lose all your lives, you get a game over. You can actually do a save and continue. It'll actually start you again at 6-4 again. This thing, not a hope will that do that. I think you're back. If you like 6-4 is going to bring you out to 6-1. I believe Mario 1 brought you back way back to the start again. Back to World 1-1. The game can be a bit forgiving in that way. You start off with 3 men, 3 lives, and you lose all 3 lives. You're back to the very first level of the world you were just in. So it's not too bad, but the game is impossible. This game is too hard. But I do like hard Mario games, so I would play this again. I would like to practice more of this as well. I'd like to actually beat this without any save states. So maybe that's what I can probably work on in future. Alright guys, well let's continue on our list of hardest games I've ever played. Next in line is part 1 of 3 games here. Now this is a series of games here, okay? The Super Star Wars series, the trilogy on the Super Nintendo. Beginning with Super Star Wars right here. I must have rented this out a couple of times back in the 90s and I could not get any far in this thing. I made it to, I think it was stage 2. Stage 2 I think is where I made it to, and I just found the game too hard. I just like this, like games like this is where there's so many enemies just shooting at you at once, and the game gives you a little bit of health as well. Like the game is not in favor of you having a lot of health because the health will run out very, very quickly, and you know, the game is not forgiving as well, where it's not going to be nice to you. There's everything about the Super Star Wars games on the Super Nintendo is insanely difficult. Like, okay, this game starts off kind of okay. It's a little bit easier than Return of the Jedi, I found. I think the first stage in the Return of the Jedi was like, there's so many things to jump on. You had to jump up here, jump around here. You missed the jump there, you're all the way down to the bottom and stuff. And you have everything shooting at you at once, and I'm like, why? Why is this game too hard? Why do they make it like this, you know? But then again, it's Super Star Wars. It's not going to be easy. But yeah, like you play as Luke here and you're jumping around the place. You're, you know, you're killing all the enemies and stuff. And you're saying, look, is that it? Like the game must not be that bad. And then you reach the bosses and stuff. And you're like, holy, yeah, okay, this game is not nice anymore. So like I rented out all 3 back in the day on the Super Nintendo and I found they were too hard. I never kind of rented them out ever again because I knew like, hey look, you go and rent the game again, you're not going to get us any further than you did last week, you know. So like yeah, you have 3 games for the Super Nintendo. You have Super Star Wars, you have Return of the Jedi, and you have The Empire Strikes Back. All 3 of them insanely hard. You know, if you're a damn good game player, you shouldn't have a problem with these games. But I think a kid playing this, like I don't know how old I was when I actually rented these games out. I think Return of the Jedi, I think I must have got that about 1996, I'd say, around thereabouts, that kind of time. And you know, like as a kid back then, like how am I supposed to beat all these things? Like this is just this is too hard for me. Return of the Jedi is, you know, I think I played that one the most. Okay, yeah, I played Return of the Jedi the most. I rented that one out the most. Super Star Wars, the first one, I rented out a couple of times. Oh, I never went back to it. But Super Star Wars Return of the Jedi, I think that one, like, I don't know. I think I preferred that one more. I think that one was actually probably the easiest of all 3. Again, I never beat it, but I found that one was kind of more playable than Super Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. I think Empire Strikes Back is actually the hardest one of all 3 of them. So like Return of the Jedi, yeah, it's okay. You can beat the first stage, probably not too bad, but there's a part then you get into is like I think you need Chewbacca for it, because with Chewbacca it's probably better in the underground kind of area. I can't remember it up there, but I remember you're in an area there where you had to do a lot of jumping and stuff, and that area I think Chewbacca was very good for because he had the gun, you see. But I found Luke, if you play as Luke in it, like he can do the double and he spins, you know, I think that's actually a good attack. That's what got me through Return of the Jedi, the very first stage. And then I found, you know, this is getting too hard now for me, and I just couldn't bear it anymore. I just stopped renting Super Star Wars games for the Super Nintendo. I just kind of moved on a different direction and said, screw them games now, they're too hard for me. Alright guys, we made it to the very last game in the list that I prepared of the hardest games I ever played. The last game on the list, of course, is Zombies Ate My Neighbors for the Super Nintendo. This game is so brutally hard. It's over 50 stages long, and I never completed it. Again, you know, like, these games are just too hard. You just make a rage, and you just rage so much, you just say to yourself you're never going to play him again. And this thing, I think I made it to like 25, level 25 or something like that. And there was a creature thing that kept coming about the ground, and I believe you needed that special power up in order to kill it. I honestly could never get through that level, no matter how hard I tried. This thing is just, you have chainsaw dudes, you have all weird animals, you have all weird creatures that want to kill you, you have the zombies and mummies coming everywhere and anywhere just trying to get you. And yeah, the game is kind of like, you know, the game is alright. It gives you a couple of passwords here so you can actually progress. Like if you lose the game or whatever, you can usually just start again and just enter in your password, and you can start where you know where you were last at. But over here in Europe, this is actually called just zombies over here in Europe. There is a lot kind of cut out of it. It was very well censored because I believe the chainsaw dudes, they didn't have chainsaws. I believe the version we had, they had axes. And that stage in particular used to creep me out a lot. Like, you're there, you're trying to go around, rescue all the neighbors and stuff like that, and then you're having these dudes chase you everywhere. They're going through all the hedges and everything, and my anxiety was through the roof right there. And I was trying to just beat the stage, and there's too many of them guys, and they just gang up on you, and you're dead. And you know, the game is insane. I do like the game though. It's a guilty pleasure. I love the game. You know, I did play it a lot back in the day, but with the help of save states nowadays, we can do a lot more in it now. We can actually progress further with save states. I know I hate using the term save states, but you know, some games are just too insanely hard. You have to use them, you know. Take advantage of them. They're there, you know. If they don't want you using save states, they shouldn't be in, you know, the emulators and stuff. So, but guys, zombies ain't my neighbors. It's a hard game, but it is okay to play though. You know, it will get the mind working here because a lot of these stages require a lot of obstacles to get through, and you have to kind of plan your kind of movement around the place so you don't get lost for one. And you know, guys, thank you ever so much for watching. In the list I just done today in the video, which games in the list do you find the hardest? Do you find all of them very, very hard that I just spoke about, or do you find none of these hard? Do you actually think all these games I spoke about today are easy? Let me know in the comments below what games even you found very hard to play as a kid, or any time in your life that the hardest games you just thought are the hardest to play. Let me know in the comments. I love to read what games you actually found very hard. And yeah, just thanks once again for watching. And you know what, if you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe and click on that like button as well, and the little bell as well, to be notified whenever I actually do upload a video as well. So yeah, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.